Hey everybody, it's Barb with Halfway to Sane. I hope you're all having a good day today, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I do appreciate it. And here at Halfway to Sane, you will listen to news stories about past and present news, abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, sex trafficking, sexual exploitation, rape, murder, missing persons, and more. So I do want to put a disclaimer out there. So here it is. And now today you're going to hear about Canada's most notorious serial killer who died in prison. And if you would like to hear more on this story, then please stick around and let's get into it. So the notorious Canadian serial killer Robert Pickton, who lured women to his pig farm, died Friday, May 31st, 2024, almost 2 weeks after his cellmate speared him in the head with a broken broom handle. The 74-year-old had been serving a life sentence after being convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder in 2007. Now, second-degree murder is killing without premeditation, which I don't understand why he was charged for second-degree murder. I think he should have had first-degree murder, but listen on, maybe you guys will have something different that you can tell me. So the sister of one of Robert Pickton's victims celebrated the brutal death, saying that his slaying means she can finally move on. She says this is going to bring a lot of families some healing. Cynthia Cardinal, who lost her sister to Pickton, it is not clear why the inmate targeted Pickton, but he had done solitary confinement for previous assaults on other inmates in the past. The slaying is under investigation. Now, the investigation will continue. Investigation will examine all the facts and circumstances surrounding the assault, including whether policies and protocols were followed. The investigators stated that they are mindful that this offender's case has had a devastating impact on communities in the British Columbia and across the country. Pickton was convicted in 2007 of killing drug addicts and prostitutes and butchering their remains at his pig farm. This man was sick. At least 65 women disappeared from Vancouver's downtown East Side neighborhood in British Columbia province between 1978 and 2001. That's a pretty long time. Investigators found partial remains of 6 women on Pickton's property, with prosecutors believing the sicko killed them during a crime spree in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Now, Pickton once bragged to an undercover police officer that he killed a total of 49 women and was trying to make it an even 50. He admitted to strangling his victims, feeding their remains to his pigs, prompting health officials to issue tainted meat advisory to neighbors who might have bought pork from Pickton's farm. The case became the largest serial killer investigation in Canada's history, and Pickton's pig farm became the largest crime scene in Canadian history, with investigators taking 200,000 DNA samples. Holy cow. 2,000. So I'm going to get into a little bit of his backstory and his criminal history now. Robert Pickton was born on October 24th, 1949, to Leonard Francis Pickton and Louise Helena Arnold, a family of pig farmers in the British Columbia. Pickton's older sister, Linda Louise Wright, was sent to live off with relatives in Vancouver. Her parents thought that the family pig farm would not be an appropriate setting to raise a young girl. That doesn't make sense. A lot of girls work on their parents' farms. A lot. So I think there was something going on there. There's more to that, I think. Robert and his younger brother, David Francis Pickton, began working on the farm at an early age, and their mother was very demanding, prioritizing the pigs over the brothers' personal hygiene and forcing them to work long hours raising the farm's livestock. She often sent them to school unwashed, with dirty clothes reeking of manure, and earning the brothers the nickname Stinky Piggy from their classmates. So they couldn't take a bath after they were done working on the farm. Unbelievable. Robert was strongly attached to his mother, and he had little interaction with his abusive father. I'm thinking that's why the girl went to live somewhere else. He struggled in school, being put in a special class, excuse me, after excuse me, after failing the second grade. At the age of 12, Pickton began raising a calf, which became his beloved pet. 2 weeks later, after failing to find it, he was told to check the barn, where he was heartbroken to find it slaughtered. Pickton dropped out of school in 1963 and began working as a meat cutter. He did this for nearly 7 years, leaving the work full-time on the farm. In 1978 and 1979, both his parents had died. So Pickton and his two siblings inherited the family pig farm, selling parts of their inherited land and earning a total, get this, they earned a total of $5.6 million. One of their workers, Bill Hiscock, called the farm a creepy-looking place paroled by a 60-pound boar and described Pickton as a pretty quiet guy and hard to strike up a conversation with. On March 23, 1997, Pickton was charged with the attempted murder of sex worker Wendy Lynn Eisteller, whom he had stabbed several times during an altercation at the farm. But Wendy informed the police that Pickton had handcuffed her, but she had escaped after suffering several lacerations. She told the police she had disarmed him and stabbed him with his own weapon. Go, girl. Pickton sought treatment at the hospital while Wendy recovered at the nearest emergency room. So apparently they weren't in the same hospital, thank God. Pickton was released on a $2,000 bond, and the attempted murder charge against Pickton was stayed on January 27, 1998, because Wendy had drug addiction issues, and prosecutors believed her too unstable for her testimony to help serve a conviction. It doesn't matter if you're a drug addict. You still know what happened to you, and it still makes it against the law for him to try and kill you, whether you're a drug addict or not. You don't try and kill somebody. David, who's Robert's brother, was convicted of a sexual assault in 1992, being fined $1,000 and given 30 days probation. Whoopee. In that case, the victim told the police that David had attacked her in his trailer at the pig farm, but she managed to escape. Robert Pickton had also sued 3 times for traffic offenses in 1988 and 1991, settling all 3 claims out of court. The Pickton brothers were eventually sued for zoning ordinances neglecting the agriculture for which it had been zoned, having altered a large farm building on the land for the purpose of holding dances, concerts, and other recreations. They had begun to neglect the site's farming operations and registered a nonprofit charity. The Piggy placed Good Time Society with the Canadian government in 1996, claiming to organize and coordinate, manage, and operate special events, functions, dances, shows, and exhibitions on behalf of serving organizations, sport organizations, and other worthy groups. Its events included raves and wild parties featuring Vancouver sex workers and gathering in a converted slaughterhouse on the farm. These events attracted many as 2,000 people at a time. Unbelievable. And members of the Hells Angels were known to frequent the farm. Subsequently, the Pickton brothers ignored growing legal pressure and held a 1998 New Year's Eve party, after which they were faced with an injunction barring future parties. The police were authorized to arrest and remove any person attending future events at the farm. The society's nonprofit status was removed the following year for inability to produce financial statements. It was subsequently disbanded. On February 6, 2002, police executed a search warrant for illegal firearms at the Pickton property. Both Pickton brothers were arrested, and police obtained a second warrant using what they had seen on the property to search the farm as part of the Missing Women Commission of Inquiry. Personal items belonging to missing women were found at the farm, which was sealed off by members of the Joint Royal Canadian Mounted Police Department Task Force. The following day, Pickton was charged with weapons offenses. Both Picktons were later released, and Robert was kept under police surveillance. On February 22, 2002, Robert Pickton was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Serena Abbotsway and Mona Wilson. Now, first-degree murder is the most serious homicide offense and is defined as an intentional, unlawful killing that is both premeditated and willful. It involves malice, a forethought, and the killer must have had the specific intent to end a human life. Premeditation can include planning the murder before it happens or lying in wait for the victim. On April 2nd, 3 more charges were added for the murders of Jacqueline McDonald, Diane Rock, and Heather Bottomley. A 6th for the murder of Andrea Joesbury was laid on April 19th, followed shortly by a 7th for Brenda Wolfe, and on September 20th, 4 more added for Regina Pappen, Patricia Johnson, Helen Hallmark, and Jennifer Furminger. Another 4 for Heather Chinnock, Tanya Holick, Sherry Inling, and Inga Hall were laid on October 3rd, and on May 26th, 12 more came for Cara Ellis, Andrea Borhaven, Deborah Lynn Jones, Marnie Fry, Tiffany Drew, Carrie Koski, Sarah DeVries, Cynthia Felix, Angela Jardine, Wendy Crawford, Diana Melnick, and a Jane Doe. Now, I just wanted to read every victim out there. Everybody needs to know who they are because they all were somebody's child, somebody's sister, somebody's brother, somebody's friend, somebody's cousin, and they deserve to have recognition. The total was now 27, and excavations continued at the farm through November 2003. The cost of the investigation is estimated to have been $70 million by the end of 2003. All of the buildings on the property, except a small barn, had been demolished. Forensic analysis proved difficult because bodies may have been left to decompose or be eaten by the insects and pigs on the farm. During the early days of the excavations, forensic anthropologists brought in heavy equipment, including 2 50-foot flat conveyor belts and soil sifters to find traces of human remains. On March 10, 2004, the government revealed that Pickton may have ground up human flesh and mixed it with pork that he sold to the public. The province's health authority later issued a warning. Another claim was made that he fed the bodies directly to his pigs. In 2003, a preliminary hearing was held, and the clothes and rubber boots that Pickton had been wearing during the Eisteddter assault were seized by police from a storage unit. In 2004, lab testing showed that the DNA of 2 women, Andrea Borhaven and Cara Ellis, were on the items of clothing that he was wearing. Pickton's trial began on January 30th, 2006. Pickton pleaded not guilty to the 27 charges of first-degree murder. The voir dire phase of the trial took most of the year to determine what evidence might be admitted before the jury. Voir dire is a legal term for procedures during a trial that help a judge decide certain issues. Reporters were not allowed to disclose any of the material presented in the arguments, and on March 17th, one of the counts was rejected for lack of evidence. On August 9th, the charges were severed, splitting them into one group of 6 counts and another of 20. The trial proceeded on the group of 6 counts, and the remaining 20 were stayed on August 4th, 2010. And the judge explained that trying all 26 charges at once would put an unreasonable burden on the jury, as the trial could have lasted up to 2 years. So that's why they only chose the first 6. The initial date for the jury trial on the first 6 counts was January 8, 2007, but it was postponed to January 22nd. Sorry, I was giggling there. My dogs, so they're making all kinds of noises at me. On that date, Pickton faced first-degree murder charges in the deaths of Fry, Abbotsway, Papin, Joesbury, Wolfe, and Wilson. During Pickton's trial, lab staff testified that about 80 unidentified DNA profiles, roughly half male and half female, have been detected on evidence, and a loaded .22 revolver with a dildo over the barrel and 1 round fired boxes of .357 Magnum handgun ammunition, night vision goggles, 2 pairs of faux fur-lined handcuffs, a syringe with 3 milliliters of blue liquid inside, and Spanish fly aphrodisiac were found inside his trailer. In the videotaped recording played for the jury, Pickton claimed to have attached the dildo to his weapon as a makeshift silencer, and this explanation was impractical at best, as revolvers are near impossible to silence in this manner. Maybe he had other plans with that on there. Who knows? Sick bastard. A videotape of Pickton's friend Scott Chubb saying Pickton had told him a goodwill to kill a female heroin addict was to inject her with windshield washer fluid. So I'm guess that's what that fluid was. Andrew Bellwood said Pickton mentioned killing sex workers by handcuffing, strangling them, and then bleeding and gutting them before feeding them to the pigs. Photos of the contents of a garbage can found on Pickton's slaughterhouse, which held some remains of victim Mona Wilson. On December 9, 2007, the jury found Pickton not guilty on 6 counts of first-degree murder, but was found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder. Now, that's what I don't get. Why didn't he get first-degree murder? It was premeditated. He knew what he was going to do when he went out for those women. That was his plan. So that's first-degree murder. Now, second-degree murder is killing without premeditation. He premeditated it. But second-degree murder is murder without premeditation. On December 11, 2007, after reading 18 victim impact statements, the judge sentenced Pickton to life with no possibility of parole for 25 years, the maximum punishment for second-degree murder, and equal to the sentence which would have been imposed for a first-degree murder conviction, stating that Mr. Pickton's conduct was murderous and repeatedly so. So why didn't he get the death penalty then? There's people who do way less and get the death penalty. This man killed 26 or 27 women that he admitted to. He admitted to a undercover officer who played as his cellmate that he killed 49 women and was waiting for the 50th. So again, there's that forethought. He knew what he was doing. So again, why didn't he get first-degree murder? Do me a favor, guys. Leave your comments down below, what your thoughts are, if you know why, and if you have any questions that I can look up for you. And by all means, thank you for watching my video. I really, really, really appreciate it. So if you can, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you know the next time that I upload a video. Talk to you later.